Will Bitcoin and crypto take off after this Federal Reserve decision on Wednesday because they're about to announce more QE? That's the dollar printer. The printer is getting turned back on. Let me show you what I mean, guys. Strictly, this is not exactly the printer, but you tell me. These banks have been in trouble. Look at this. This is how much they're borrowing from the Federal Reserve in the standing repo charts every morning. This is from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, where they do all of this in the financial capital center of the universe. Like on this day, very recently, December the 1st, this is like $26 billion. Here's $50 billion they're borrowing from the Fed. They're in a lot of trouble. Look, this is what happened. This is basically what happened during COVID, right? We get to this level. And now, see, during this time, there was no borrowing from the Fed. And now they've started borrowing again. What does all this mean for Bitcoin? It basically just means that the Federal Reserve simply needs to start printing money or doing QE again. Okay, before we get too carried away, let me tell you guys, by definition, it's not quite QE. They're actually just buying the bills. It's not going to be, these are bill purchases, not bonds purchases. And there is a very important technical difference. So this is kind of like, people always debate about this, and this is kind of like where they call this not QE. It's kind of like, are you printing money? Are you supplying liquidity into the markets? Yes. But are you doing strictly QE, which is buying long-term bonds? No. So what does the market look like during periods like this? First of all, let's start with the short term. And then we say, longer term, like say 3 months to 6 months, how does Bitcoin go in a period like this? Because this has only happened one time in history. By the way, on the 1st of December, the Federal Reserve stopped QT, which is quantitative tightening, which is taking money out of the markets. Now they're about to start putting money back into the markets, but not quite in the fashion of QE. Let's have a look. First of all, Bitcoin, right, as I've been saying in my Discord, for folks watching my Discord, because of the funding rates have been rather green. This is the funding rates, right? Do you see how green it is, right? Everyone's short, right? Everyone's mostly short. Not as short as it was before. About 2 days ago, when on Saturday, I said we're going to squeeze up a little this weekend, and on the weekend, indeed, we squeezed up because there were a lot of shorts. The market's still leaning short. Look, only a few reds. So in the short term, I say we squeeze up, and look at this. Got rejected perfectly on this day on the red trend line on the 91. That's called a 92k resistance, and I kept on saying, look, 92k resistance. Look at how many times we hit the bottoms here, right? And and basically we could squeeze up a little bit higher, but eventually this is a classic bear flag, right? There's a very good chance we break down out of this bear flag. Some people call these bear flags. I don't really think they are. I drew it on there in my last video to show people that's what the market has been calling after it happened. I never had these on my charts in my earlier videos, and I can tell you why I don't think these actually qualify as bear flags. But anyways, so the what I'm trying to illustrate here is the market is scared. Most people pointing out that we have another bear flag, and boom. Usually a bear flag like this plays out, we should go to the next important support line, which is obviously the 74k, 73k area, 74, 73. This was the top, and of course it never just stops there. It'll wick through to like high 60s, even mid 60s, and then hopefully we close above and then bounce.